different than normal.
Well, I'm not the one that said I had to do the show wearing lingerie. That was you. That's on you.
Well, what? Wait a minute. Where's my lingerie? I feel like we have a systemic.
What do you?
Systemic.
You didn't say I. You didn't say I couldn't wear anything over it. So it's under here. Beneath this very conservative-looking T-shirt is a man who knows his sexiness.
Chat. Come on. Start slinging them words into the comments. Start talking about it. Take it off. Take it off.
I find your desire to see me in lingerie a bit disconcerting.
Well, that's just your opinion, man.
Yeah, man. That's just your opinion, man.
Well, you were supposed to wear the lingerie, and it was supposed to be a peace offering for Veronica not being here today.
I am completely unsure how me wearing lingerie in any way, form, or fashion makes up for Veronica not being here.
No, but it was a distraction. It wasn't meant to be in place of. It was meant to distract, so they wouldn't ask where V was. They would be too busy going, "Oh my God!"
That's when we drop to 0 people watching the show immediately. As people tune out and immediately go look for something to drink to get that out of their minds.
Pass the brain bleach now, please. All this, and it isn't even after dark.
I got to tell you, these sequins are scratchy, though.
Oh my God. Howdy, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Dead Robot Society. I'm Paulie Cooley. Joining me today, Terry Mixon. Veronica is currently on vacation. She left us unattended, and it's not going to be good. So we'll just put that out there as a preface to the madness that is to come, because we never behave ourselves. It's just not going to be good. Anyway, yeah, who left these two be unattended? We must atone. Is Terry bringing sexy back? Terry never left sexy.
That's what she said.
Yeah, but she was blind, deaf, and, well, let's face it, she was comatose. Anyway, so the...
I'm pretty sure that my wife is neither. It's none of those things, actually.
I didn't think we were talking about your wife. Oh! Anyway.
Is this the part where if Justin was here, he'd start playing with his nipples?
Yes, and likely lift his shirt while he's at it, yeah.
I think I will pass on doing that to anybody, because no one needs to be subjected to that kind of behavior.
Well, that kind of goes without saying. Shots fired. Oh, Antoine, stop it. Just stop it. Anyway, small talk. How the hell are you, Terry? What's up?
I have been, oh my gosh. I've got a deadline approaching that I got to turn in this novel. Yeah, I have come right up against that deadline, and I need to finish writing this thing, and I am out of time to screw around, but I have been wasting time so badly doing other things that are more interesting than writing. This book has just not been interesting for me.
Is that because it's the end of the series?
It's not the end of the series. It's the one before the end of the series. This book is not the one that is the end book. It is the one before the end book. But I put the characters in unusual situations for them, and it did not make continuing writing what they're doing easy. It actually made it more difficult for me to go ahead and write what they're doing.
Does this feel like a bridge book?
No, yes and no. It is a bridge book in that they have things that they must accomplish. I wouldn't say it's an Empire Strikes Back bridge, though maybe comparisons could be made.
Empire Strikes Back was not the bridge. That was the best goddamn story in the trilogy, but that's just me.
But it was still a bridge. It's like the Two Towers was a bridge between the Fellowship of the Ring and the Return of the King.
Was a bridge that went on for fucking ever.
Things are accomplished in this novel, but the fact that I have 4 different characters and they are doing different things, when I switch off between plot lines, I feel like I'm derailing myself every single time. Every single chapter, I feel like I'm derailing myself. And it's hard to start writing that next chapter.
Yeah, you got into the hard stuff, didn't you?
Well, when you take what is a space-borne military science fiction series and you pull the people that are normally running big ships around and blowing things up and put them on small craft to go ahead and do covert operations, that's a little different than their usual.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely.
And so we'll see how it's received. I think it's going to be received fine. I suggested the topic for this show, not because I actually think the book is bad, but because, boy, is it hard to write it.
I have 3 books I can put into that file.
Keep talking. I'm going to pour my coffee.
He's going to pour his coffee. I had that problem with Destruction. I had that problem with Trident, and I had that problem with Evolution in a big, big way. Because the books started to deviate from what the original premise or conceit was. And that meant that I had to do some gymnastics to put everything together. I had to lay down more lore. I had to basically close up some things from the previous book while starting new things in the new book, but I couldn't actually conclude anything. It didn't feel like at the end I was actually concluding anything because it really was just another bridge on the way to the final destination, or where the journey ends. And I think that can kind of grate on you, especially when you really just want to get to the end. Because that's where all the cool stuff is. That's where the epic battle is. That's where the final fight for this, that, and the other. And that's the book you want to write.
It is true, and I'm ready to write that last book.
That last book is the one you absolutely just want to get to because of all the crazy you can do with it.
One of the things that I wanted to accomplish with this book in specific is the characters are taking a Hail Mary pass to try to get the edge they need to beat the enemy. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to work out for them.
Of course it's not.
They're going to go big and then have to go home.
See, my characters go big, go small, go however they can. It always blows up in their faces, but people have gotten used to that. If it blows up in their faces bad enough, they get eaten.
This book is going to have a setback for the characters that sets them up for the big fight and leaves them at a severe disadvantage. So they're going to come into the last book in the series as the underdogs. And I wanted it to be that way. And so this novel's purpose was to go ahead and set them up for a big win and then yank the carpet out from under them. So I don't know how the readers are going to feel about that, but I think it'll probably be okay. But we'll see.
Methinks I know why you're having problems writing it. You just
tell me more. Tell me more. Why? What? Tell me more. Why am I feeling bad about it, though?
No, I don't think you're feeling bad about it. It's just why it's hard to write.
I'm not excited about it. This has been something where I am easily distractible. I came into this book with 3 weeks of cushion built up, and I have squandered that 3 weeks.
You slacker. Matt says, well, to paraphrase Scream, which I loved, book 1 sets up the rules, book 2 stretches the rules, book 3, all bets are off. You're just stretching it out a bit more. That's a very good point, Matt.
I'm taking a gamble with this book in that the whole thing is going to be a setup that does not work out in their favor. But then, like you said, Return of the Jedi, or The Empire Strikes Back, that did not work out in the hero's favor.
No.
They ended that in a significantly worse condition than they entered.
Yes, for the most part. For the most part.
Well, I can't see any of the heroes that came out better off than they were at the start of the movie by the end.
Yeah, okay. I'll buy that.
One of them's frozen in carbonite. The other one's missing a hand.
That Yeah,
Maybe
fuck.
Leah came out as a null because she probably went in and came out about the same size. And Chewie, it's just Chewie. Who knows? He's just, who knows what he really thinks.
Tim says, is it possible the challenge of the heroes losing this round is not interesting to you?
It is possible. It's very possible. But I felt that I needed to write it this way basically to make the stakes in the end book, the final book in the series, really, really stand out.
Okay.
We'll see if it pays off. The readers are the only ones that can take it, that can tell me if it worked or if it didn't.
Yeah, there's where the proof is, right? Is how the book is received, I guess. Which is why everybody has anxiety about publishing a book.
Luckily, once it's published, the next one will be out in 2 months, so they won't have long to wait and grumble.
That's at least one saving grace if you're going to put your characters in that kind of predicament in the book that way, is try and have the next book come back or come pretty fast.
Xander's asking, did we get told where V is?
She's on vacation.
Well, let's make up some fun stories about what we think she's doing, because she didn't actually give us any details.
She's at a voice actor orgy.
Can you imagine the voices they would use in that?
Oh my God. Oh.
Can you imagine how that would work out?
Now, okay, so you'd have to, all right, so if you got 20 voice actors and said, okay, you're in an orgy, go. What in the ever-loving hell would you hear?
You would definitely hear things you could not unhear in accents that were strange and yet compelling.
I'm sad that this hasn't happened.
Okay. Here we go. We're starting the orgy. Everyone use Welsh for the next 60 seconds.
Nobody buy that. You can't have sex while speaking in Welsh. It just does not work. The very act of speaking in Welsh takes too much blood of your system to keep an erection. I'm convinced of this.
I'm not sure. I think Matt could probably tell us more about that.
You probably can. Talking about voice actors, did I ever tell you about running a porn karaoke night? No, Matt.
I think you may have left that out somehow. Now we all want to know, mind you, but yes. Okay, next 60 seconds, everyone has to sound like Gomer Pyle.
Oh.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
I may never get erect again. Holy cow. Yikes.
Okay, it's wrestler. You have to sound like a wrestler for the next 60 seconds.
I'm going to let that go.
They wouldn't even be talking. They'd be doing poses, too.
Yeah, the microphone's really going to catch that.
But they would still be doing poses. You can't do wrestling without doing poses, right?
Only singing songs featured in porn? Oh, wow. It was like regular karaoke, but you put on really bad 70s porn and give people mics to provide the voiceovers. Oh, my God. That made all my dogs start barking.
No more Gomer Pyle impressions.
We descended to a new low, Terry. You brought in Gomer Pyle of all freaking people.
Well, I mentioned wrestling earlier, and you had asked me about this before the show. One of the things that's been distracting me, that made my fish start barking, Tim says. Maybe you shouldn't have had dogfish. That's all I got to say.
Tim, come on. Share the drugs already. All right, Terry, continue.
One of the things that I've been doing is setting up to play a traveler role-playing game over the internet, a forum game. So it's text only. It's not an in-person sort of game. And I've done that numerous times with me being the player, not the person running it. So I decided to go ahead and bite the bullet. And my poor players, who are now recruited and are in the process of rolling up characters, they have no idea about the chaos that I'm about to inflict upon them. Because I decided that I was going to go ahead and make their new boss. Basically, I'm basing his character on Randy Savage, Randy the Macho Man Savage. So, he's got to talk about, got to do that Randy Slim Jim commercial kind of stuff. And he's gonna he's got no taste. He's got, let's just put it this way, the common area on the spaceship is electric blue and has a disco ball. They have no idea what's coming for them. He bought a gourmet kitchen so that he could have taco night. He's got a tanning bed in his cabin.
Doesn't everybody? Brings up an interesting question, Terry.
What's that?
If I'm locked on a starship for like 6 months working, don't I need UV exposure at some point?
You know, I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad idea. I'm just saying that it's not something that's normally seen.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Now, to envision this character, he's a bounty hunter. Which should make all of this sound even weirder. But, you know, so I think Dog the Bounty Hunter, but, you know, less taste, maybe, less class, maybe. And before the beginning of the show, he's come into a lot of money. And rather than spend this money wisely, he bought a very expensive spaceship that was not set up to do bounty hunting and is paid a ton of money to have it torn apart and rebuilt to his personal specifications, which will make no sense to any of the characters that are inheriting this thing when they start, because he's dead. At the start of gameplay, he's dead. He's the corpse. And then they have to live with the consequences of his bad decisions for however long it's going to take them to get it fixed.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to starting that particular game because of the misery that I'm going to inflict upon my players.
You're just a bastard. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, let's see here.
What the actual F?
I'm going to have a lot of fun doing this. It's going to be a hoot.
That wound's awesome.
And then he immediately follows up with sounds.
Yeah, I know. I like that wound's awesome better for some reason.
Matt says, what did he die of? Bad taste? Actually, yes. That is exactly what he died of. He's a man that's brought in a bounty or something. The characters aren't going to know where he got this money from, but he's brought in more than 1 billion credits. Like, imagine that's $1 billion worth of there. And he's going to have died in some slum near the spaceport doing something entirely questionable. Maybe he was there looking for hookers. Who knows what he was doing? He was definitely there doing something that he shouldn't have done. Maybe I should have him die from eating a bad taco.
He was chasing down some alien strange and things happened.
Whatever it is, his death is going to be embarrassing and completely pointless.
As it should be.
As it should be. None of the characters know this is coming. They all think that they are being hired to do this job, and they don't know that I'm going to dump the whole thing in their laps when they get there.
Taco grande.
Taco grande.
Hey,
Got to watch that taco truck. It'll kill you.
Probably too many additives from the Slim Jims. Death by tentacles. Well, while you've been doing all that fun, okay, the last 4.5 weeks have had 6 visits to the hospital / emergency room / ICU with 2 surgeries and all sorts of other insanity. And then this last weekend, we moved my parents from their home into independent living. So I haven't had time to do a fucking thing.
So how independent does it feel to you?
It will be independent once everything calms the fuck down, I hope. But, you know, the fact I'm actually here for today's show means, you know, things have calmed down a bit.
Well, you know, you still got another couple of hours for an emergency call to come in.
Terry, shut the fuck up. So anyway, I've been, when I can, I went through another passive evolution and got things kind of done. Pondy's got the interior finished. There's one more thing we're talking about doing for the cover, and I may have to punt on it just because it just doesn't seem to be happening. But the cover's ready, from what I understand. The text is ready. God damn it, it better be. And all I need to do is start slapping stuff together as soon as I pay the bill. And we get everything there. So then Evolution will probably come out in the next 2 weeks, I think.
Okay.
And then I spent a whole lot of time working on Oceania and cleaning that motherfucker up. And oh my god, I found 2 plot holes that I said this before, that nobody caught, and fixing them really wasn't that difficult. That's the cool thing. I had to run some calculations and change a few things here and there, but by and large, Oceania I think is in really good shape. So I'm basically going to put the beta together for that, for the patrons who are interested in beta reading it, and use BookFunnel to disseminate it. Since I have BookFunnel, I should actually use it. So that's good. I don't know when I'm actually going to get back to writing something, but I think I need to pop over to Extinction and take another look around at it and see if it's in as terrible a shape as I think it is. And then I need to decide if I'm going to add this other plot line that I really want to add and shouldn't, but really
I've only got, me talking bad about the novel that I'm in, I've only got 10 more chapters to write. I'm only 25% away from being done with this thing. I'm in the conclusion of this thing. This should be flying along.
I don't wanna. I'm bored.
I don't wanna. I wanna do these other things.
See, gotta get our shit together.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to buckle down. It's just gonna be. I can't afford to give in to any of the things that are really fun or cool until I get to the stuff that's not really fun or cool for this book done.
The only good thing about this happening and the timing that it's happening, all this stuff that's been going on, is I have books in the hopper, right?
In the hopper?
Releases waiting. I have releases waiting. I have 2 more after this waiting their turn after Evolution. And that's before Extinction. So I have time to write something new. This isn't really destroying me because I'm still going to be putting books out, right? It's not going to inhibit production, but it's going to start inhibiting production fairly soon if it keeps up. So I'm working on getting some management and boundaries in place and figure out other things I can do to help make them as independent as possible. But there will still be times when I'll have to go over there and do things, and there's always medical stuff to deal with.
Yeah. Speaking weirdly, you talked about Pondy, and I saw a post from Peter Bryant, who we've had on the show once. You may not remember. But it sounded like he and Pondy were at the same con together or doing something together. They were commenting on things there. And like, it's weird when you say, okay, these 2 people that I know, they know each other. I had no idea they knew each other. How did that happen?
It happens, man. If you know Scott Sigler, you know everything about everybody. That's how that works. I'm only halfway kidding. He's basically Kevin Bacon at this point. Everything just kind of, you're only 6 degrees from Scott Sigler. Yeah, like Tim says, Pondy knows a lot of folks.
Yeah, I imagine he does. It just never occurred to me that he knew Peter, so I'm like, okay, that's weird.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure he was on the Mythwits at least once. I can't remember. Paul isn't one to name characters after him. Oh. Isn't the only one. Yeah. Anyway. That reminds me, you talk about Peter Bryant. He and Cephas are in Extinction.
Uh-oh.
And, oh yeah, because I created K&B Construction. So it's Cephas and Bryant Construction. And that'll be kind of revealed. It's going to be fun. But in the Extinction, they're actually going to show up and cause mayhem. It'll be fun.
It's actually more along the lines of K&B Deconstruction.
As one of the characters in Oceania says, construction, deconstruction, it's all the same. It's all the same to K&B.
An unplanned rapid disassembly.
Yeah, so an unplanned rapid disassembly. There you go. So that's what's been going on in my world. But it's funny you brought this topic up, which was basically, if I can go back to your original words.
If you don't like it, is it bad?
Yeah. If you don't like it, is it bad? That's very interesting you brought it up at that time, because I was going through Oceania when we were talking. I was finishing up the last chapters, and I was thinking about that. And I came across some horrible writing that was easily fixed. I came across some good writing that needed a little tightened up, and I came across some stuff that I thought was really good. Now, when I wrote the book, only thing I was really concerned about was the plot and getting it out there as a serial for the patrons. So it didn't go through a lot of the edits and a lot of the love that I'm giving, like Signal Decay right now, or the other books in the series. It didn't get that. So the trick is going through and being meticulous about it. But I think getting distance from the manuscript also helped a lot. So I think putting something aside for like a month or a month and a half gives you a chance to forget all the stupid stuff and start focusing on the good stuff. And when you find the bad stuff and it's 2 months later, it's easier to find. It's much easier to find and much easier to deal with, because your mind has already moved on to something else. At least I think so. So when you brought that up, it's like, is it bad? Yes, it's horrible. My first drafts are awful. They stink. There's reek coming off of them. Just absolute reek. And I loathe them so much. But you know what? You gotta suck to get good. But the thing is, a month from now, you look back at those words, they may not be as terrible as you think they are.
I've learned over the years that I can't trust my own liking or disliking of what I write. So I'm not letting this get me down, but this case is more so than usual of me having to drag through, making it a slog. And it's for all the reasons that were previously discussed. Doesn't mean it's bad, it just means it's not fun to write. But plenty of people write things that aren't fun to write, and still, it's excellent. If you read a person's novel, you can't tell which days they had were good days, which days they had were bad days. It's still going to, I'm pretty sure that Antoine's thought there really is appropriate for this conversation. I'm just not sure which part of the conversation it's appropriate for.
God damn you, time delay.
No, that's not a frosting dispenser. Sorry.
Move on. You were saying before all that.
I don't know. His comment totally derailed me. You don't know, when you read somebody's work, you don't know if they were having a good day or a bad day. The quality of their writing is not dependent on how they're feeling.
True. Very true.
So you can't trust whether or not it's good or bad based on how you feel.
There are times when I write something and I'm like, that was good stuff. And I go back and I'm like, this was shit. So it's like sometimes when I feel bad about what I did, or for whatever reason, I come back later and I'm like, you know what? That was actually pretty good. And there's other stuff I thought was perfect. And I'm like, that needs work, really needs work. So I think you just have to go back to the old thing. You try and make it as good as you can, but at some point you have to let loose of it. It's got to get out there.
When I write the book, I always go through it one more time and make a pass through. I'll make my decision on what I think about it as I'm doing that pass through. When you're writing, you can't judge. If you try to judge while you're writing, you end up being Paul. Don't do that. It may not be as true now as it used to be, but you used to talk about how you stopped and edited in progress all the time. Mm-hmm. And I think I've told you then that it was bad, and I'll tell you again, if you're still doing it, it's bad. You shouldn't be doing that. Save that for the read-throughs.
I'm saving that for, so I'm probably going to do another serial as soon as I catch up, and make Signal Decay the serial, because I think writing Oceania as a serial was awesome. I think writing An Ancient Trap as a serial was pretty awesome too. But I'm going to do it differently. So I'll do a hell of a lot more editing on each chapter, and I won't get as many chapters out as a way. But like Xander says, I've been editing after I finish a chapter. That's exactly what I'll probably be doing. Is I will do the cycle on the chapter, and then I'll set it aside, and I will put it, in the production hopper for 2 or 3 or 4 days from now. So when I come back to it, I can give it another look soberly, and really give it a test to see if it all works out before I start recording it.
It's unrealistic. It's unrealistic because there's no way that you're sober when you're doing this.
Shut up. So what I mean by that is basically you get rid of all the endorphins, you get rid of all this stuff that comes in when you're writing, all the wonderful little imaginary tricks that happen and make you feel good. If you wait a couple of days for that to wear off, you can go back and you can judge your work a little more critically and find those kinds of things.
I totally agree with that. And I would do exactly as Xander is talking about. In fact, I've done that on several novels. And I liked it well enough, but it has one major flaw. If you do your writing and then your editing on a chapter-by-chapter basis, that by the time you get to the end of the book, you've forgotten what's going on in the beginning. And when you do that, you occasionally miss things like, oh, that character, he just disappeared. Oh, this other thing, continuity-wise, just didn't happen.
You've never done that.
I have totally done that. I have a note. I have a note for myself in this book that I have a character that's doing some piloting there, and after I wrote it, I'm like going, he was supposed to be here, but I'm pretty sure this is chapter 10, and I never mentioned him actually being here. Note to self, make sure and go back and add this guy in.
Somewhere.
But I would do it chapter by chapter like that, except that I still have to do a full front-to-back continuity read to make sure that I haven't screwed something up. And if I'm going to do that anyway, I might as well go ahead and not do it chapter by chapter, because then I'm doubling my work.
That is the trick if you're not writing it as a serial.
It's true. Writing a serial is a completely different beast. Yeah, and then continuity is just optional.
I wouldn't say that.
If you've read some serials, you will know what I mean.
Well, and I think that's one of the...
Isn't this guy dead? He died like 3 years ago. Who is this guy?
I think that there's a reason why I like to get at least, 20 to 30,000 words done on something before I try and serialize it now, because then I'm in a kind of a safe spot. I've got the plot and the world kind of figured out, and after that it's just a matter of keep leading the characters around by their noses until they run smack dab into the big nasty. I mean, that's what I write. So now that I've got all that set up for signal decay, for instance, if I go back and edit everything and pretty it up and all that garbage, it'll be ready for recording, and I can record a chapter a week or whatever and give that to the patrons. But that will also mean that I'm going back and getting all those chapters into production ready while I'm doing this. So maybe when we get to the end of it and it gets to the betas, it won't be a problem. But it does mean I have to be a little bit more diligent about how I chronicle what plot elements are going on so that I can maintain the continuity. Otherwise, that does become an issue, or will become an issue.
I've also discovered when I go ahead and stop writing to go edit something, I've completely thrown my momentum off. Which is the same sort of thing that's happening while I'm writing and switching characters and plot lines. It wouldn't be so bad switching characters if they were in the same place doing the same kind of thing.
I love those little breaks, though, because you just leave somebody in the lurch and you jump over somewhere else, and it's like, oh, new person to play with. What are they doing? They're doing this, that, and the other, and that, this, that, and the other, and oh, we're done with that. All right, back to this asshole I left in the lurch. That's so much fun. Part of suspense writing is basically leaving everybody in a lurch and having to jump between back and forth and get everybody on the same page as to what the hell's going on. It'd be just a lot of fun. Just a lot of fun. Oh,
everyone died. I'll put
track
this up
9.
here.
I need to get back to track 9, Matt. That's the story that takes place in the recording studio. Yeah, I haven't mentioned it in a long time. There's reasons for that. I need to go back to that one as well. That's one. That one has far too many words on it for me to quit. So I got to go back and finish that one. It's just other things came into line and things happened with Sever Press and some other bullshit went on, and I kind of lost focus on that book and was busy writing something else at that time. So I just went full balls with it. And then on top of that, we got the Black releases coming out, and that it screwed up my entire timeline. So I dropped that for now, but I want to get back to it. Because I think it's a cool story, and it's going to set up some Garaga stuff, which I want to do so badly. Anyway, I have too many works in progress. Way too many works in progress. And that's one thing I've got to do is I got to start finishing before I start something else.
I am so looking forward to starting the next series where I intend to stick with one person's point of view the entire freaking time.
You're so lazy. So lazy.
It'll definitely make writing easier in the fact that I won't lose thread on what I'm doing.
Right. Right. That is the one advantage of having that close third person or first person narrator is that very fact, because you can be much more focused on them. It's harder to do some other. It's hard to do some things though, as far as trying to plant scenes. I mean, you've talked about the fact that you're going to have third person portions in there anyway, right?
I've changed my mind.
Changed your mind?
I think that I'm just going to be having the main character be third person close and not having any alternating points of view at all.
Okay.
But to answer Antoine, yes, it's the one that has the duelist. We'll see whether or not, how much of an element that actually plays going into this. Because even as I keep going, elements of the story keep changing. It's all morphing before the story starts writing. So, who knows what's really going to be there until the words hit the page.
I was thinking that, first person is hard to write long books in. And yet, Dresden, those are pretty fat tomes, and they've got, a single point of view by and large. And it's because of the characters he's constantly running into. It's all the people that he's bouncing around in. It's all the different things that are going on. So it's, this happened. All right, let's go talk to the vampires about it. Let's go talk to the werewolves, the warlocks, blah, 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 blah.
With a single point of view, you don't have time for navel gazing.
Right.
You've got to do things.
Right.
How to win friends and influence people. That's what you got to be working on. What's that phrase? Always be closing.
Always be closing. Thank you, Glengarry Glenbrahas. Always be closing.
I'm going to tell him you said that.
Duelist by day, gigolo by night. Anyway, I'm curious to see how that goes. I'm also curious. I'm kind of on the fence about whether or not I should try and write a first-person Tony Down story again. I'm on the fence.
What's holding you back?
I don't know. Probably some of the fear because of the way I write with suspense and everything else, and jumping into that noirish kind of storyline. I guess maybe it just doesn't seem like it would be very suspenseful to me. But then again, I've already got a freaking, telepath we're talking about. Quasi-telepath. It's difficult to explain.
I wrote a novel, one of the ones that I wrote before I started publishing myself. It's sitting on my hard drive somewhere. Never seen the light of day. It's terrible. Trust me on this. Where it's a murder mystery and the protagonist is a psychic that can see images of things by things she touches. Psychomancy. Mm-hmm. Basically, you touch something, and if it's got a powerful enough imprinting of something that happened, she can see. It's all about controlling the camera. For her point, when she picks up something involved with a murder, she's looking through the killer's eyes, so she doesn't see the killer.
Right.
She can see what's happening. She might see the killer's hand. So she might say it's a man or a woman, but she's not going to have a clue anything else about this. And I can control the camera and provide as much detail as I want and withhold those critical pieces that keep it from being a spoiler.
Okay.
So you could do it. There's absolutely, no matter how much you're writing, you can control the element of vision and what is seen, and it's not going to be something that reveals too much.
The one thing I really like about writing first person, and I did this with Station 3, even though it's not a first person book, I put a lot of crossovers of things that happened to the character in their life, you know, what this event meant or what this event brought back, and you had a chance to really dig into the character and come up with anecdotes or little story pieces of other things that happened in their past and how that may be relevant to now. And I love that because you get a chance to really tear open the character and start dealing with portions of their life that they may be conflicted about. And it may actually give you a lot more ideas about the complexity of this character you're either rooting for, rooting against, or uneasily rooting for. Antoine says, I will never forget that day, his dreadful laugh and well-manicured hands.
Very appropriately true.
There's a trick to it, and I may go that route. It just kind of depends, because I have so many books that I want to write for Tony, and they can be however I want them to be. I'd like them to be consistent. Aww. You're cute buddies.
Yeah. Pollux is not thinking this is so great.
No, this is looking like a fur is about to fly.
It's like a cat porno, except they're both boys.
Uh-oh. Yeah, this is going to get bad.
He said, no, I don't like it. I'm going to smack you.
Well, Matt, I'm glad you enjoyed those little pieces. When you got a characters alone all the time, you have to find ways to make them and give them a chance to be more human. And part of that is bringing up, you know, things from the past, memories, anything that might have to do with the now. When you have those little spaces, and even those little pieces can be exciting, they can be crazy, they can be silly, they can be whatever, but you can use them as nice little breaks in between action sequences when you want to calm the book down. Or you can use that because it's an important part of the plot element that's going forward now. There's all sorts of different ways you can do it. It's been done well by many folks, and it's probably been done poorly by many folks too. But I really enjoy that. I guess that's one of the reasons why I like Stephen King's writing, is because he does that all the fucking time. And it makes the characters so interesting. So interesting. And then he overdoes it sometimes. What else, Terry? What else?
Well, I could certainly throw more chaos into the story, because I forgot to tell you one important thing.
Oh, no.
The spaceship that they're going to be coming on in this game, it has an artificial intelligence built into the computer that is actual sapient being. But unfortunately, it's under the orders of the owner as far as what it can do. It has an android body that it can control. And so when they arrive at the ship, the voice over the intercom is going to say, I'm very happy that you've arrived, and I must apologize most sincerely and deeply for what's about to happen next. And they're going to go inside, and he's going to be dressed like a mariachi playing this festive music at them with a trumpet that deafens them because the owner instructed him to do so.
Bye, Tim. Thanks for hanging. Not drugged enough to stay awake. That's frightening. You're a sicko. I don't know what kind of things you eat before you go to bed, but you're obviously getting very twisted dreams. You know, stop eating the spicy popcorn at night, buddy.
Do they make spicy popcorn? I think I may need some.
I've told that story before about Joe Lansdale, right? I know I've told that story.
I don't remember hearing it, but you probably have.
His wife made popcorn for him one time with like crazy jalapeno stuff, and he went to bed and he woke up at like 3 a.m. and wrote a story and basically put it together, edited it, shoved it in an envelope, sent it off, and it made money immediately. So after that point, whenever something broke in the house, he would hear popcorn being made. And he'd know, oh God, it's the jalapeno popcorn. And if she really wanted it to be good, she made it extra spicy. So
I may have to try some of that.
The refrigerator broke one time, or maybe it was the AC, I don't remember which it was, and he came in and he was getting ready to do whatever, and suddenly he smelled that popcorn and was just like, oh. But that was the mechanism, one of the reasons he was able to write so many short stories. We are nuts.
Yes, I am.
We might be crazy. It could happen. It could happen. So yeah, I can see the spicy popcorn doing you in. That's basically what I'm saying. I think that.
I only wish my dreams were that entertaining. I mean, seriously, who wouldn't want to have those kind of dreams?
I don't know, man. I don't really remember my dreams very often, but when I do, they're usually kind of bizarre. But I don't know.
Well, I know where I got this particular scene from. The initial episode of Star Trek The Next Generation where Q shows up dressed as a mariachi with a band and everything. You know, completely out of tempo for the rest of the episode, whatever else everybody is doing. And that's the jarring discordance I want to create.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Except that since he has no taste, it's not going to be a mariachi thing. It's going to be in wild colors with like fluorescent tangles. The dangles are going to be fluorescently colored.
Spangles?
No, they are fringes. Fringes. The fringes are going to be.
Fringe.
The fringes are going to be colored that way.
Yeah, it sounds pretty fringe. Or cringe. One of the two.
Both. It's going to be both.
See, why aren't you writing this as a book?
I don't know that I actually could carry it off over an entire book. I probably could. And it would be stinking hilarious for me to write it. I don't know how well it would be received, but it would be funny for me to write it. Sitting there going, oh yeah, here's where we screw them up.
Neon
it does kind of.
Fringe.
It does kind of, yeah.
Sounds like a good name for an 80s band. Yeah, I agree. I completely agree.
Oh, when the jump drive goes and kicks them off into jump space, it's going to have like sound effects come out of the speakers. Totally useless, doesn't do anything, not supposed to be there, yet it's going to be.
Oh boy.
Good luck digging that out of the programming.
Tom says, I had a morphine dream in the hospital. I found the savior and he turned around. It was Captain Jean-Luc Picard. Maybe you've been watching a little too much TNG, bro.
You probably aren't too far off from being right with that one, so, you know.
JLP, man.
When you need your soul to engage, you need to call Jean-Luc Picard the savior.
Oh, God. Act now and you'll get a free, I don't know. There's no telling. I'm not up on my Star Trek lore to go crazy.
When you pass, he appears and says, "Two to beam up, number one."
Number one, I order you to take a number two. Sorry, old Beavis and Butthead. Make it so.
That's what he said when he sat down at the singer. Make it so.
Oh. So there's, my parents are in independent living now, and I had to hire the Best Buy Geek Squad to come in and install their TV.
Good luck with that.
It worked out beautifully. They were incredible professionals. It was amazing. They did an amazing job. They were great. So anyway, I had to go get them from the lobby, and I don't look like I'm over 65. I should not be there. So this guy was walking around. He had a badge at the facility on his lapel. Old guy, probably in his late 70s, early 80s, and he helloed me back. He said, "You look like you know where you're going." I'm like, "Yeah, I do." So I went and got the Best Buy guys, and I'm bringing them in through there. And this old guy decided he was going to follow us. He followed us all the way into the elevator, telling dad jokes the entire way.
Everybody's got to have a hobby.
And then we got in the elevator. We had to go to the 4th floor and more dad jokes. And then he followed us all the way to my parents' room, telling dad jokes.
You know, when you're bored, you're bored.
I thought to myself, this is the kind of shit Terry Mixon would find absolutely hilarious. This is the kind of shit that goes into a book.
So I need a couple of examples of his dad jokes.
Oh, I can't remember them. They were horrific.
Well, obviously.
They were horrific. I can't remember a single one now that you put me on the spot.
Man.
But they were bad. They were bad. Matt says the one time I was spiked with mushrooms, I convinced myself the lizard was God, but he was ignoring me, which makes even less sense when you realize we don't really have lizards in the UK. Why do watermelons get married? Because they can't elope. I think he may have told that one. Everybody
needs a hobby, and when you're in retirement living, any new audience is to be treasured.
I think part of it was he wanted to see who we are and what we were doing, because I think he works for the place, and he did it unobtrusively or obnoxiously by doing that. I mean, it was fine. It was just like, oh my God, this guy's going to follow us into my parents' house, my parents' apartment. Xander has a Geek Squad badge. That's just wrong in so many ways. Just
badges?
Wrong.
We don't know no stinking badges.
Oh my God. So if you're ever in a retirement community and you find one of these gentlemen or ladies that are standing around looking bright-eyed and looking like they might want to make mischief, just be on your guard. You may want to have your dad jokes ready.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That reminds me of something that happened at the grocery store just a couple of days ago. Me and my wife were going up there to pick up stuff, and I walked into the middle of a conversation when I arrived at the checkout. The cashier was a young black man. If he was 18, I don't think he was. I think he was 17 or 18. He was young. The bagger was also a young black man, and they were talking when I got up there. The cashier was saying, "What do I got to do to get you to talk to me? Do I got to set up an account on one of those sites so that you'll talk to me?" And I'm sitting there going, okay. He's talking about dating sites because the cashier is obvious, the bagger is obviously, hitting up the ladies on the chat sites there. And so I immediately opened my mouth and said, "Is he trying to convince you to get an OnlyFans account?"
Oh no.
And he just, "What? What?
Do you even know what that is?"
He's like, "What? No, that's not what he's doing. Why would you even say that?" And so the bagger's laughing at him, and the cashier in the next lane is laughing at him, and he is just, the entire time we were checking out, he is completely and utterly befuddled that this happened to him. It totally wrecked him.
That's awesome. I like it. Terry made it weird. Yes, he did. He made it weird.
I did, and it was worth it. My wife's like, "You got to watch these old people. There's no telling what's going to come out of their mouths."
Boy, ain't that the damn truth. Holy cow. Make for a good story with the boys. Uh-huh.
They will be talking about that one for a while.
Oh, yeah. You know what this old guy told me?
OnlyFans? Oh, my God.
How does he even know what OnlyFans is? I was thinking OnlyFans too, though. God. That's just bad. It's so bad. Well, what else we got?
I think we should put the last few minutes onto the audience. They should tell us what we're talking about next.
Well,
we've been working for an hour. They need to go ahead and kick in something here.
I know. I'm just so lazy. Just writing comments in there and being in chat.
They should tell me what their OnlyFans accounts are going to be like. Or maybe they should tell us what our OnlyFans accounts should be about.
Oh, no. No. Porn karaoke. That's OnlyFans. Now that I know that's
porn karaoke with lizards?
Wonder if Bad Dragon make... No, never mind.
Sailor Cooley. There we go.
Shut up. There's no...
Hey, we should have an Only Fiction account. There we go.
Only Fiction account. Have you been to my Only Fiction account?
Macho Terry. So I dress up like a wrestler. Have you ever seen pictures of the Macho Man?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
I'm going to have the character dressed like that. He is going to be dressed like that in every picture they can see and covered with oil. That's going to be gross. But there you are.
Where do you come up with these reprobates?
I ran into somebody that said they actually met the Macho Man at one of these things where they went to see wrestling, and they got out, and it was long after the thing there, and they were just horsing around, and this limo pulls up to the stoplight. They all run over there trying to see in through the side of the window, and the thing comes down about 2 inches, and they hear from inside, "Step away from the limo, boys." Like, it's Macho Man, he's in there.
Oh, God. Oh, God. It's so sad. It really is. What would be on your Only Fiction? Would you read on Only Fiction, or would you just write on Only Fiction?
I think you'd have to read. This is
you have to read.
Only thing would be like a performance thing, so you can't just read. You got to do something.
Well, in your case, you'd be sitting scantily clad on the sofa, with your lingerie while you read a book.
So that's Paul's idea of what I should be doing.
Look, I've seen pictures of what you do in your backyard. This would be no different. It's just somebody would be filming it.
Xander is curious if anyone under like 27 knows who Macho Man Randy Savage was. I don't know.
I was
maybe
never into that shit. So but I know who he is.
I ran a top secret game back in the 80s, where one of the characters was a former wrestler that ran away from being a wrestler while he was the guy that had the belt, and so the WWF was chasing him around the globe, trying to set up a match so that they could get the title back from him. And I had them in an airport, following somebody. The guy sees somebody sneaking through a side door, so he's going in after him. And it's totally dark when they go through there, and he's like looking around, thinking this is the spy thing. He hears somebody run along behind him. He's like, "What's that? What's that?" All of a sudden, the lights come on, and he's standing in the middle of the wrestling ring. Ding, 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 ding! And the player's like, "Oh my God."
Now? Really? Now?
Now? Really? Now? Yes, indeed. Maybe I could have the Von Erichs come chasing the Traveler characters. Or maybe New World Order.
No, Randy Savage was not in They Live. That was Rowdy Roddy Piper.
Yeah, that was. I'm not going to bring Hulk Hogan in. It's just, sorry. No, not it. Maybe Andre the Giant could come in.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, now I want a Slim Jim.
God damn it, those commercials. Oh, fucking hell. Oh, yeah. We really didn't need that in our universe, but we got it. So there it is.
But I already said that the guy thought he wanted to be a wrestler before he became a bounty hunter. So maybe I should have like wrestlers chasing him around. Maybe I should make wrestlers the ones that are suspected of killing him. That could be fun.
That could be fun. Sergeant Slaughter.
Actually, that's got some legs on it. I think I might go ahead and do that.
Oh my God.
Killed in an underground wrestling match. All the suspects are wrestlers. And then I just make up the weirdest people.
Wow. If you have a suggestion on how to start an OnlyFans account for us and what it should do and everything else, you can send an email to show@deadrobotsociety.com. You can find me on Mastodon at Paul_E_Cooley at VYRSC.social. You can find us on Facebook at the Dead Robot Society writing community, where we mangle all the madness. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/DRSpodcast, where we are live almost every Saturday at 3 p.m. CST. Like and subscribe so you know when we're live. And if you want to support the show, you can find us at patreon.com/DRSpodcast and buymeacoffee.com/DRSpodcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you get access to exclusive live shows like the one we've got going up in about 10 freaking minutes. And at the $10 level, you get your name read. And our $10 patrons are Nate Cosby, Antoine Batts, Tony L. Joy, Rick Shaw, Lisa Slack, Isabel Cushy, and Tim Niederreiter. Thank you to all of our patrons.
And the Macho Man, Randy Savage.
Owes me a Slim Jim. So with that, we are going to get out of here. Patrons, BMAX supporters, we will see you in just a few minutes. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we will see you next week.
We'll see you in the live show if you're there.
Oh, yeah. Bye.